What's up, my channel? It's your friendly neighborhood sassy blonde writer coming at you with another writing video. If you're new to this channel, welcome to the Sassy Blonde Writer channel. I like to do different videos on different writing topics. Sometimes I talk about my views on different writing questions. Today, we are doing a little discussion. What is art? The backstory is a little weird. I recently got involved in a discussion in the comment section of a Facebook post. So what's funny is what sparked this debate was Twilight. Somebody said that Twilight trash, and then somebody else said, that's your opinion, I love Twilight, don't say it's a trash book. And then it turned into a question of what is art, what is good storytelling, what's the difference between taste, which is subjective, and just good art, which is it objective? Is it subjective? Who can say? So here we are. If you disagree or agree or have anything to add, you can always put them in the comments below and we can have a little discussion. Anyway, so the thing is that art can objectively be good. The reason why art gets tricky to discuss objectively is because a lot of times people let their personal opinion and their personal taste get in the way of how they feel about something. And it's especially really hard. I mean, there are tons of really bad movies with Meryl Streep in them, but people love the movies because they love Meryl Streep, even though they're bad movies. And when you let something like your opinion get in the way, that's when what you're saying becomes subjective, because it's a matter of your opinion. Once you let your feelings influence what you have to say about something, you're no longer being objective. It's really difficult, honestly, to be able to critique something that you really enjoy. For example, I enjoy Rihanna's music, but sometimes I don't understand her diction. Diction means something different in the writing world. It means word choice. The diction in singing, it means how you enunciate and pronounce the words. Rihanna's diction is not one of her strongest skills. However, I still really enjoy her music and I think she's a really good performer. So that's not me saying that she's a bad performer because of X or anything like that. It's just me critiquing one of her technical skills as a singer. So I suppose you could say that the answer to one of the questions from the beginning, which is, can art be objectively good and objectively bad? Yes, it can be, as long as you keep your personal feeling out of it. And honestly, if you keep your personal feelings out of whatever you're critiquing, that's where you're really able to learn as a writer. I would say that yes, art can be objectively good and objectively bad. So we can always bring it back to Twilight specifically. The storytelling in Twilight is very weak. There is virtually no characterization of Bella, which is really weak as far as Stephenie Meyer's characterization skills go, because your main character should have a little something to them. However, she did try to say that it was intentional for her to be a blank slate, so that way the reader could kind of superimpose themselves onto it. Kind of like when you play a video game and the protagonist is just silent the entire time, so you can just pretend that it's you, because otherwise it kind of takes you out of it. So maybe that's what she was really going for. We'll never truly know if she's saying that for realsies or if she was just saying that to kind of clap back at criticism. But I digress. It was also kind of weak from a storytelling perspective because of insta-love. Insta-love as a trope, which Twilight uses, is pretty weak for author's craft because it happens instantaneously. There's no foreshadowing, there's no build-up of tension, and it just kind of happens, and the reader has to suspend disbelief that this would happen in real life. So those are examples on why you could say Twilight is not a good story. The second part of this would be, what is high art? Because that was another part of this whole Facebook post that I unintentionally became a part of. I originally commented because somebody was asking for input on a book they were going back to, and I was like, oh, I have some thoughts, and then I kept getting notifications about the fight that was ensuing. But anyway, so another thing that came up was, what is high caliber art? What is low quality art? Somebody brought up TV shows, specifically The Sopranos, which is considered a high quality TV show, or I think it's considered one of the best TV shows of all time. It's either considered that or everybody keeps telling me that. I haven't watched The Wire. So you have TV shows like that, which are of a very high caliber, and then you have TV shows like The Big Bang Theory, How I Met Your Mother, and Friends. So talking objectively, The Sopranos versus Friends. Obviously, the people who wrote The Sopranos, which is a drama, had different intentions than the people who wrote Friends, which is a sitcom. Personally, I feel like it's not fair to compare them at all. It's not even like apples and oranges. It's like apples and spaghetti, whatever. Everything comes back to food. So I guess the question of what is high art, it all comes down to what is the author's intent? Was their intention executed? And what was the impact? A lot of times what's considered high art is not necessarily what's considered important to an individual. I think a historian once said that a piece of art or pop culture that's considered historically significant is only considered that because it either marks a technological achievement or advancement, or it just has widespread impact. I mean, you can think of like Civ 6. Personally, I think it's really elitist to say something is highbrow and something is lowbrow. And as a musician, you encounter this all the time, where people are using the terms high art, low art, highbrow, lowbrow. Comes from a lot of gatekeeping, and that's something I encounter a lot as a musician specifically. You have a lot of people who enjoy classical music who critique pop music and say people who listen to pop music are so dumb. They're not smart enough to understand classical music. And that's just not true. You can enjoy all types of music. It's one, a matter of taste, and two, a matter of just like personal preference of the moment. You're not always going to be in the mood to listen to Mozart's Requiem. I doubt Mozart was always in the mood to listen to him. The dude frequented bars. Mozart probably listened to more drinking songs than he listened to opera in his entire life. So I don't like the term high art or highbrow versus lowbrow because of it. So my thoughts with regards to high art are, it's all art has its place. I think it's kind of like food. I told you, everything's gonna come back to food. I think I had one professor in music college called performing Bach chorales, like taking your vitamins. You learn a lot, they're good for you, it's good to study them, and then you can move on. I think he would say like, take them one day and then move on with your life to other stuff. I think art has different tiers, and it's not fair to say what art is good, art is bad, what art is better than other types of art. It all has its place, because it all comes down to preference, really. Because sometimes, you really just need a good, gourmet meal, mushroom risotto. Can you tell I haven't eaten lunch yet? That's good for you, or really, really rich, and there's a lot of layers there, there's a lot happening, like Breaking Bad, or Gattaca. And then sometimes you need something a little light and fluffy snack, like a beach read, or something a little cheesy, like Riverdale or Twilight. Sometimes you want a little something in between, like mac and cheese, or some Gilmore Girls, or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And there's nothing wrong with having these different preferences. I think all art has its place depending on what you're in the mood for. I don't think one is necessarily more important than the other, because in the moment where it's what I want, it will be important to me. So one of the other people who commented on this post, and I will link to their channel down below, is fellow writer, musician, and YouTuber, rainbowskychild. She agreed with me that all art has its place as well, because you don't have to be a fan of everything, and that's totally fine. I don't like horror movies or horror books. That doesn't mean that Alien isn't a fantastic example of the genre. And I think she specifically said she's not always a fan of middle grade or YA, but sometimes reading Divergence or The Fault in Our Stars, it's like when you have that snack or that little piece of dessert that it just hits the spot. I believe that all art has its place. I think it's unfair to be gatekeeping and tear each other down. Those are my feelings on this subject. If you agree or disagree, please leave a comment down below and we can have a little discussion. I would love to know your thoughts on this. Of course, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post new videos on Wednesdays. If you enjoyed this video and you want more discussion-y type videos or to know my thoughts on different topics, always hit that like button. And of course, happy writing.